West Tigers fans, the boys went down in a heartbreaking loss last weekend. We're going to chat about that, but we also have a bit of Lachlan Galvin goss. So stay tuned. Welcome to another episode of the West Tigers Life podcast. West Tigers fans, welcome into another episode of the West Tigers Life podcast. I'm your host, Josh Barnett. Please give us a follow on the socials. We're trying to get all our social accounts up to 2005. That's at West Tigers Life. TikTok is going off. I think we hit 500 followers, and he just started the TikTok this year. The YouTube, I think we cracked 1,400 this week, so trying to get that up as well. Twitter as well is about the same, and like us on Facebook, give us a follow so you never miss another episode. And also, of course, on YouTube, please give us a like, subscribe, tell your friends to tune in. Another great episode tonight. Apologies for those joining us live, seeing all our regulars names coming through a little bit late tonight, keeping you all in suspense because Mr. Bashara has a bit of goss he's heard through the grapevine. We're here at the Orange Grove Hotel again, and we'll be here on, when are we playing the Broncos? Saturday night. We'll be here. You may have seen us on our socials or on YouTube going nuts when we watch the win over the Finns. So fingers crossed. Imagine we got a finish like that, Mr. Bashara, as I bring you in. At the Orange Grove, we were going nuts. A win against a Queensland team in Queensland. Maybe we can do it again on Saturday.
Good evening, boys. Good evening, everyone listening and watching tonight. That would be wonderful if we could provide a miracle this week. We actually are the longest price odds out of all the teams to win a game this weekend. So hopefully we can get the job done, but it will take a big bounce back after a devastating loss last Sunday night.
Yep. And people on the stream may have noticed, we've got pop filters. We've got arms for the boys this week. They don't know what to do with their hands. They got plenty of freedom with their hands now. One man who loves a jazz hand, loves a bit of dancing with the hands. Aaron Thompson, how are you this evening?
Yeah, g'day, boys. G'day, everyone watching and listening. For one, I'm just going to clarify, I don't like the jazz hands. I think the Sharks are one of the teams that do that when they're trying to boot their kickers on to kick the conversion. Definitely not a fan of the jazz hands or anything of the sort. I'm feeling pretty good today. A little bit disappointed, obviously, after a bit of a tough loss, but we bounce back and we go again.
Yep. Keep the mouth nice and close to the mics, boys. You almost got to make out with these microphones. Get in nice and close so that people can hear us nice and clear, both on the stream, on the potty, and here at the Orange Grove Hotel. We're coming through the speaker as well. Riff, our man in Miami, just said, keep your hands above the table, please, as keep them where you can see them. All right. Without further ado, I gave it plenty of teasing. It got us plenty of people when you dropped a massive bomb in the before we get to that, I've got to talk about iChoice. Sorry, I've got to keep it more teasing. Give us a quick shout out to our friend Jason at iChoice.
Yeah,
Rob.
Guys, for all your financial needs, give Jason and his team a call at iChoice 9743 0000, and you can find them on the corner of Liverpool Road and the Boulevard at Strathfield. Jason and the team will solve all your financial needs. Give them a call. It's all free of charge, and they've been great supporters of not only us but the West Tigers.
Interest rates on hold this week. It's good.
Well, better than going up.
Well, yeah, I guess, but anyway, it should go down. Anyway, back to rugby league. Lachlan Galvin, contract exclusive. What can you tell us, Mr. Bashara?
Firstly, let's hope this is true, because we have come up with a scoop or two in the past that hasn't quite been there. I have been told from a pretty good source, and it hasn't come from our club, it's come from the Canterbury Bankstown club. Just for those that weren't aware, I mentioned a week or two ago that it seems to be only the West Tigers and Canterbury in the race for Lachlan Galvin, and an official from the Canterbury club has actually said that they believe they've lost the race for Lachie. They won't be able to. He's not going to hold off till November the 1st, and that we will be signing him next week. Now, fingers crossed, toes crossed, whatever. But it obviously hasn't come from our club, so we don't know who that is. But yeah, we've got a pretty good source from Canterbury, and they unless they're playing ducks and drakes and trying to throw us off. But yeah, hopefully
by telling us.
Look, the thing that wouldn't make sense to me is we're playing away this week, we're playing away next week. I would feel a signing like that would get done before a home game. Normally you do it on a high, perhaps not after a potential loss. Hopefully we do beat the Broncos.
Yeah.
But obviously that raised our spirits because there seems to be genuine concern that, he's going to wait till November 1 and get a lot of big offers thrown at him. So hopefully it's true. Hopefully Lachie does stay on and extend for a few more years. And that would be one signing that will set the club up for some success for the next few years.
What are your thoughts on that, Az? If it, assuming that, the mail is correct?
Yeah, I think it'd be great if we're able to sign him, especially so soon. There's a lot of the season still to go, and it'll be great for Lachie to not have that as a bit of a focus on him throughout the rest of the year. Also would be nice to get one a little bit over Gus Gould and the rest of the Bulldogs crew, considering his actions seem a little bit suspicious to me in the way he's been trying to manage this, trying to, I guess, bump up Lachie's price or saying very conflicting things on his shows and podcasts and things that he does in recent times, which I'm not very sure about how that would be allowed under NRL laws. I think I heard something a week or so ago where he said something along the lines of Lachie should hold off until November to get other offers in. And I have a feeling that's because obviously we all know that he's ready to throw one at him as soon as he's allowed to. But I mean, saying to him or his manager that he should wait seems like that should be something that's a little bit against the rules, or definitely some sort of grey area in the NRL rules regarding contract talk and off-contract players and things of that nature. But I'd love it if we could sign him, lock him up, have him at the club long-term. Would be great for us as a supporter base. Would be great for the members and the fans in general, and all the stakeholders involved at the club too.
Rob, a lot of people in the comments, you didn't mention money, do we? We haven't talked money or anything?
Money was never mentioned in the conversation I had with the person who spoke to the Canterbury official. So, look, there's a lot of guesswork going on. We've heard 1 million,
5 and 5,
5 and 5 sort of thing. 5 years, 5 million. It could be a bit more than that. Look, again, I'm not putting pressure on our club. Our club will do whatever's best for our club. But again, if you say to a person, a player, you're our future, and we see you as the future of our club, you pay that player accordingly,
100%.
in my opinion. So you don't say you're our future and come up with 700,000 or 800,000 just because you're 19. I think you pay him what you think he's worth, and I'm a massive fan. There's hardly any other halfbacks, or 5'8", I should say, in the competition that I'd rather have. And I think he's better than Dylan Brown. He's better than a lot of guys that are getting a lot more money than him.
100%. And the thing I mentioned on the show, because we've obviously been talking Lachlan Galvin for many weeks, 4 weeks in a row. I hope it will probably be another couple of, like you said, it might not come to the fold.
Hopefully the next time is a celebration.
Yeah, but the fact that he's not on much money this year makes me think that the cap hit that we're taking, if they bring the money forward and just give him, because we're not going to spend. We just had Olam retire, we've had Clem move on. There's money in the kitty for this year. If that goes to Lachie, it's probably just more to take the hit now, and that his contract, I think, will end up being, because we don't know what it is. If it is 5 over 5, I think that is a bargain. Yeah, especially in a rising cap.
Yeah, look, as long as he wears the black, orange, and white, whatever he's on, good luck to him, and it's none of our business. I just want him to concentrate on his footy and win games and get us to the finals. That's all I care about at the moment.
I know people get too attached, I feel, to how much rugby league players are on. Yes, it's you got to think about the salary cap, but people are saying, "Oh, I'd give him $1 million," and then let him walk. Why would you let him? It's not your
It's a full-time
200.
occupation.
It's not your $200,000 extra that you got to pay. It's not coming out of our membership pockets. You got to fill the cap. He's a future superstar. And people are like, oh, we're taking a punt on a kid. It is a little bit, but that's kind of what the game you got to play. You got to lock down your talent and hope that they hit. I mean, the same people probably said the same when Tedesco signed with Canberra. They're probably like, oh, well, he's not worth $1 million anyway. Why? Like, they can pay all that money, and then he ends up being the best player in the world.
Look, it's only one season, but is it guesswork? Is it a hit? I mean, we saw
Yeah, you
enough
could argue
last
that
year
too.
to
Yeah.
see what he can do. And, even again, like, he's not playing perfect games, but he creates a lot. He put a grubber kick in for a try. He, basically set up a try that put Safar through a hole that led to Toa there.
Yeah.
He does a lot of things that are still great. I mean, obviously there's stuff he's still working on, but like we say, he's only 19, but there's no one else I'd rather have at 5'8" at our club.
Yep. Right. So moving on, NRLW signings. Were there any this week?
No. So we discussed the three last week.
Okay.
Faith and Caitlin.
I thought I saw a couple popped up today. But,
unless there's some I've missed, but yeah, I think those three were the last three.
Okay. Right. If you haven't heard it yet, I think most people, judging by the numbers, because it's going bananas. Our chat with mostly your chat, Rob, because I was literally just
chatting.
It was your chat. If you hate, like I said last week, if you hate me talking, you'll love this podcast because I literally talk for about a minute and then I just sit back and listen to the amazing knowledge that is Adele Haj, coach extraordinaire, former NRLW coach at the West Tigers, passionate West Tigers fan. He'd already, been able to break down the game for us literally, 2 hours after.
Yeah, we started at 10 p.m. on Sunday night.
I just walked in the door from Campbelltown. So
apologies for the rush.
I was in my pajamas not long after, so in bed. So thanks to Adele for doing that again. He'll be back on Sunday night. At least we've got a bit more lead time this week. But the chat was awesome. If you haven't heard it yet, it's on all your podcast outlets. It's on YouTube as well. So please check it out if you haven't already. And as I said earlier, Saturday, we're going to preview the game. It's a 5:30. 5:30? 7:30. I get it wrong every week. I did literally make the slides that had the game. I should know what time. We're going to be at the Orange Grove Hotel, 7:30. We'll be here probably well before 7:30. Come along. Let's pack the place, cheer, watch it on the big screen that our three mugs are on currently. Everyone's watching us on the big screen at the moment, but you'll see some bit more talented heads going up on that screen on Saturday night, namely Lachlan Galvin and Lachlan Galvin, etc. So please come join us then. But all right, we have to do it. Relive the torture that was. I mean,
it's my second go at it.
But you've already talked a lot about it with Adele. You can kind of, I guess, you've got more time to have you rewatched it? Have you reflected a bit more on the game against the Warriors, Rob?
Shows you the emotional swings of a West Tigers supporter. I promised the Discord on Sunday night that was going in the vault with the semi-final of 2011, the semi-final losses of 2010, the 1989 grand final. It wasn't going to be watched again. I was pretty devastated Sunday night. Not much better Monday or yesterday, and built up the courage today to actually watch it. And it actually hurt even more today watching it, just seeing some things on TV that I hadn't noticed live in the grandstand. Didn't change my thoughts on how heroic the performance was. I still think there's something special about this team in terms of toughness, resilience. This team's well and truly a top 8 team, maybe a top 4 team. But I'm just sick of everyone saying, oh, we're not good enough. We did have chances to ice the moments, etc., etc. I think people need to start understanding the West Tigers are a good football team. It's taken everything of New Zealand to get over the line. Newcastle struggled against us in round 1, and we put 2 other teams away. Like we're not the easy beats we once were. I know Benji doesn't like to refer to previous years, but when it's a positive thing, I think you need to refer to previous years. And this year is certainly different. Like our only 2 losses are 2-point losses, and you can't say that about years past. Our average losing scores from last year was just under 20 points per game. Out of our 18 losses, sorry, you haven't done these stats, Aaron, so I've jumped on these.
Stats
So out of
Stradamus.
extra stats this week. So out of 18 games that we lost last year, only 2 of them were single digits. So we lost 16 other games between, I think, 10 and 42 points at an average of 19.77 points per game. So again, I'm trying to look at some positives. Like, who knows? We're probably going to get towelled up a couple of times this year, just like the Roosters got towelled up earlier this year. And, you know, every team's going to get towelled up. But so far, we've just seen a really resilient team sticking to their processes. The thing that hurts me the most about Sunday night is we just have nothing to show for it. And it's against a team that's in the running for the semi-finals, which we are as well. So instead of being 2 points ahead of them, we're now 2 points behind them. And for them, it was great because they have a bye and they've got a little bit of a tough schedule. But this could actually set the Warriors up for their year, because generally Origin period is a good period for them. And I think they'll only lose most likely Barnett to Origin. So they've got a cushy draw. So they might be on their way. But again, I think we're a better team than them. And, you know, I was proud of the effort. It just hurt. I was devastated for my son who was with me, for the fans, for the players, everyone concerned. But hopefully they got on with it a bit quicker than I have, because I was a real sulking, you know what, for the last 72 hours pretty much.
Yep, I feel you. Yeah, as we were sitting in the stands going off, and I said to you, we had them. All I kept repeating at the end of the game is we had them. Literally, Terrell May being this close to grounding the ball. We thought it was a Dream Buller, went over only for an alleged obstruction on the inside. How's the pain for you today, Az? And how are you upon reflection?
Yeah, it's gotten a little bit better over the last couple of days. Obviously, the trip home from Campbelltown is a rather long one when you're stuck there with your thoughts, and just trying to get back home in the pouring rain as well, I might add. So it was a bit of a tough one to swallow. Like you said, you were saying to me throughout most of the game as well that one more try and we've got them. One more try and we've got them.
One more point.
One more point and we've got them. And then we had
1 point wouldn't work.
We obviously had those celebrations for the 2 tries that we thought we had that were taken off us, which is one of those unfortunate things. Now it seems like we can't actually celebrate until the try's been confirmed. But I remember sitting with you at halftime as well, looking at the stats of the first half, and it looked, for all intents and purposes, that the Warriors should have been like 10 to 12 points up on us. And that's just how much we stuck in the grind, how much we hung in there. It looked like it was going to be a bit of a rough night from the very first set, considering they got so many meters, managed to get a kick inside our 10 and drag Buller back into the in goal to get a dropout off their first set. It looked like it could have been a really long night, but I mean, considering the amount of adversity the team had to endure pre-game, during the game as well, obviously losing Skelton during the week, although I don't think it was ever really guaranteed or thought of that he was going to play. Obviously losing AD in the warm-up, being down 2 players when the Warriors scored basically being down 2 players when the Warriors scored that second try to get themselves up 12-6. I think we have just barely replaced the players, but we had to do a lot of defending basically with 11 because of the fact that Sam Weller had gone down with, I think it's been confirmed that it was just a re-aggravation of his corky. And then as well, Taruva going off or being forced off HIA around that time as well. So there was, lots of adversity through the game, but they hung in there. I was really impressed that we took the lead at the point that we did, and it was great to see the boys kind of like enjoying themselves. Like they knew that it was going to be a tough game. They knew it was going to be a brutal battle. The fact that they hung in there, massive credit to them, massive credit to the resilience they're showing. Blue Eye and Appy as captains are doing a remarkable job trying to keep the boys upbeat. And I think the other new signings as well are bringing those vibes and bringing that will and determination with them as well. And like Rob said, it's just a shame that with such a good performance and such a spirited effort that we don't have the 2 points to show for it in the end.
Yeah, it does. It does suck that the effort. I mean, I guess that's sport, isn't it? I felt that today as well in the basketball. It was literally deja vu, literally losing on a penalty in the basketball today. It felt like the West Tigers all over again. But yeah, to leave that game, like as said, I was just thinking 1 point will win it. 1 point. I mean, in the end, I guess if they kicked a penalty goal, a field goal wouldn't have been enough. But yeah, it's just heartbreaking. As Carla said in the comments here, she says we should be 4-4. I guess it's more we could be 4-4 because we could well have beaten the Knights, and we should be thankful, really, since in recent years being in every single game just wasn't right. I mean, it'll be a real test on Saturday night. So if the boys do go down, we'll preview the game obviously soon. But the boys go down and lose by 1-8 or something, then we probably will be like, well, we're literally in every game. So I guess that's all we can be hopeful of at the moment. A bit of luck would be nice. The wind not changing direction.
It was the league gods were against us, Josh. Like Aaron said, pre-game we lose Adam. I think the rain nullified us running some real block shape to get Jareen Buller into the game. I think Jareen Buller was going to be a thorn for them. I think the wet conditions didn't help us expose them with Jareen Buller. Even little things that it didn't affect us, but obviously Talon De Silva makes that amazing conversion into a howling cyclone that was basically 40 metres out. By the time Metcalf goes for goal with 7 minutes left, there's just absolutely zero wind.
The flags were dead set.
Like everything went their way. The six agains, Wyatt, what's his name? Wyatt Raymond, more like Wyatt Earp. Wyatt Earp kept plucking six agains out of his pocket. And the resilience we showed, on our goal line for multiple sets was incredible. Like, it's sad because the tries, as I said Sunday night, were quite easy tries. Like 3 of them were through gaping holes. One was just a crash play over Jerome Luai. But the most of our defence was, what I mean by that, most of our defence on the goal line was good. Like there was scramble. There's definitely issues with our contact. Adele points out a lot of times like our markers weren't there because we're not winning the collision, because we're not tying up the ball carrier on the ground. And to me, especially that first half, the Warriors went about it differently to us. We did a lot of one-up hit-ups, like one pass off the ruck. I felt like watching the first 20 minutes again today, the Warriors were shifting the ball 2 passes with their hit-ups to a forward. They were trying to spread our defence out so our spacing was a little bit wider so they could punch holes later on. And I think we tried to adjust to that at half-time, and we had a rubbish first set of 6 after half-time where I thought we were just going to boot the crap out of the ball and get it down the other end, and we end up getting an awful kick away. And it's not Talon De Silva's fault. I think Seyfarth passed it to Talon De Silva instead of passing it to Lachlan Galvin. But it was an awful kick, and they scored 4 or 5 tackles later. But look, a heroic effort. Look, I guess in terms of the stats, New Zealand deserved to win. And I'm not trying to be biased, but when you keep overcoming adversity as we do and get yourself into a position to win, you can kind of counter that and say we deserve to win. So it really depends on who you support, but really good game of football. People knocking the atmosphere at Campbelltown.
It's actually really
maybe you should actually go to Campbelltown and actually be there. The way that atmosphere was, the middle of the second half, that everyone was going off to whether it was tries, no tries, and music. It was amped up to the max, and it's just a shame that we just didn't get to have a real massive cheer after the 80th minute, because I loved going out there. It definitely hurt driving home and knowing we had to get ready for a podcast, without having a proper dinner, but and talking about a loss, especially when I thought it was an emotional sort of game too, like to have 2 tries correctly taken away from you. Just hurts, mate. Like I just think 3-1 launches our season. 2-2, we're still okay. There's 20 games of footy left for us to play, but it hurts. It definitely hurts.
Normally I have clips for the tries, but last week that literally brought the Facebook stream down. The NRL doesn't even like me playing audio clips of tries, even though I'm promoting the game. Whatever, NRL, pull your head. If you want people creating content about your game, I wasn't using any footage. Literally, I used clips of the audio. I've been doing it for a couple of years, couple of seasons now. Maybe because the Tigers are winning more games now, they're coming after us. But Facebook stream dropped out last week because I played tries, so playing it safe. But we can reimagine the Fanua Pole try, which was the one that got us off or tied the game up. Our man Connor, who was here last week, he's in the comments now. Would have loved that one. But Fanua Pole, we'll talk. Obviously, going to talk player by player with the ratings and stuff. But man, Fanua Pole is having a hell of a season.
Yeah, he's off to a great start. He's up there at the meters. He had a 70-minute stint in that game because we commented, Josh, on the fact that he I don't remember exactly when he came off, but basically when we had those issues in the later stages of the first half there, he was basically straight back on after probably not all that much of a stint on the sidelines, and then he just played out the rest of the game like an absolute machine. And I think that's part of the never say die, the never give up attitude that Benji and this new coaching staff and the new leadership group at the club are kind of trying to instill in the playing group, and it's working really well. And I mean, talking about that try, I think he steamrolled over the top of James Fisher-Harris, which is not an easy thing to do. Like that is impressive.
And he got past another couple of forwards, but I think these prop forwards must have met before the match and sort of said, mate, if you make me look good, I'll make you look good, because the first try that New Zealand got through Cozzy, James Fisher-Harris bumps off Fanua-Bole and then gets past, then Cozzy gets past Fanua-Bole a bit later, and then, Bole repays the favour and gets a try back. So they kind of made each other look bad in the first two tries of the game. But his footwork that whole game was exceptional. And obviously he's upped his minutes from low 40 minutes. I think he had 56 minutes the week before against the Dolphins, and have 69 minutes the other night. Like Aaron said, was a massive effort. But I think, Aaron, he did come back on because we'd done our 3 rotations, and then Samuela was injured, or it might have been when Taruva came off for the HIA, but he suddenly ran on a couple of minutes before halftime, and he never came back off again.
The Warriors took the lead again, but then I think every game where we scored inside the 5 minutes before halftime. Is that right? Yes. Is it 4 out of 4?
Did we? No, I don't.
No,
we didn't in round 1. Our round 1 try was something like 20 or 22 minutes.
Yeah, we only scored 1.
But it was the only try of the game.
It was 3 games in a row.
Yeah.
Normally, there's a running joke that I always rehash a tweet that Def Tax's West Tigers always concede a try in the final 5 minutes. 3 games in a row, we've been the ones that actually score the try instead.
Did we also concede one in the final 5 minutes of the first half against the Dolphins? Was that one of the tries they scored?
6 minutes. I think I remember it was 6 minutes.
It was very close to being on the bubble there.
Talon got the last try before halftime in that
game.
Yeah, but the Dolphins scored one fairly close to the final 5 as well.
It might have been about 9 minutes. We can check that. I think it was about 31 minutes gone in the game when they got. The try you're talking about, that's Nicarima.
Yeah, the one that probably shouldn't have been.
That was a no try. Well, it should have been a no try.
I'll
look that up now while we're talking.
But anyway, the Stafford Toa try in this one, Lachlan Galvin, you mentioned it early in the show, put Big Red, and he summed it up beautifully. Now, I'm not saying he should have gone inside the Lachlan Galvin just because I had money on him to score a try, but he could have gone Lachlan Galvin on the inside and won me a bit of money. But anyway, he went. It was a smart choice. He picked the open man in Stafford Toa, who's having a pretty good season as well.
I said the same thing, Josh, for the same reasons as you, but he was covered. So it
was the right call. It was the right call.
Play.
It was the right call.
Beautiful play from Lockie. Held up the ball nicely, and Seyfarth didn't panic. Looked left, looked right, worked out who we should pass it to. Gave it to an unmarked Toa, and we thought, wow, 12 all. Like that kick, that conversion.
Yeah, I felt pretty.
Still gets me. That's that's one of the best conversions I've ever seen.
I was saying he's kicking into the wind from the right, is off sideline. I said he's no chance of getting this. And then he slots it, and it literally.
Oh, confession! Absolute confession here.
I gave him no chance.
Yeah, I said he's not going to get the distance. I said he's not going to. He's taking it too far back. But what am I? Who am I to?
And
you both said the same thing.
It's our third string kicker.
What a kick!
Great kick. It wasn't Appy. It wasn't Dewey. It was our third string kicker. So that's what, when that went over, I'm like, you know what? Maybe it is our night. If you can slot a goal that you're not supposed to kick, I don't know. Turns out.
Well, the runner played. We didn't deserve to be 12 all, but we were, and with what we thought was going to be a strong win the whole second half, if we played it smart and played it from their end, I thought we could go on and win the game. But again, we were worried about all the injuries and can we hold up?
But straight after the second half, the hooker, what's his name, carved us up the middle.
Wade Egan.
Put Luke Metcalf under the post. Basically, they took the lead, but then Fatape would score a try about 8 minutes later, and again the scores were tied, but the kick by Galvin. We're talking about Galvin's contract, assuming he's a $1 million contract incoming. That kick that he put in for Tape is $1 million type of play. That it's the type of play you expect from a $1 million player. I think people underestimate how hard to shape the kick between players and get it perfectly in line with his winger. It was an unbelievable kick from Lockie.
It was a perfect kick. And look, it just shows the improvement Lockie's made to his game. He had a lot of those rubber kicks last year where he put a little bit too much on them. They go dead in goal or not enough on them. He got it between, I think it was Metcalf and the right centre for the Warriors, and perfect play. And Fatape got the ball down, and Appy nailed a conversion from near the sideline right over the black dot, and we were back in it, 18-all.
And then we go bang, bang. Latu Fainu with a great try after that, as he really made an impact when he came on.
Yeah, he really caught them napping. I don't think they even got a hand on him. He just got straight through, was able to score the try, and 2 tries in 3 minutes, and all of a sudden we're in the lead, and things are looking pretty good. And the vast majority of Campbelltown goes absolutely ballistic.
I should say too, Josh, this is just my opinion. I don't know what anyone else thought out there, but watching the game.
An opinion on a podcast?
No. When the Warriors did get to 18-all, they got down our end. They had multiple sets in a row, and some of the defense we showed on our goal line, we just hung in.
Yeah.
And then Metcalf throws the ball over the sideline with approximately 32 minutes left, so 48 minutes. And honestly, as soon as that ball went over the sideline, it was like our team got a second wind, and we just dominated for the next 10 or 15 minutes. And, and that's where the Fatape try kicked in, and then obviously Latu's try, which was like it just opened up, didn't it? It was just.
And then
I'm watching and I'm like,
almost tries.
That looks like a big hole. Is he really going through that? It's just like, it was just too good to be true. And right next to the post, 24-18.
Yep. But the try letting in big how do I say it as? Halasima?
Lika Halasima.
Yeah. That was quite embarrassing. I thought he had 2 players covering and to both miss him.
And hit each other instead.
Pretty much, yeah. It's one of those ones that quite embarrassing to let a front rower go the length of the field.
I think he's more of a second rower centre, not necessarily a front rower. So it's not as bad.
Either way, he's a big boy. I mean, if Samuela did that, we'd be going pretty nuts.
We'd go bonkers, yeah.
But yeah, quite an embarrassing one. That one, and then the nerves were back as they nailed the conversion.
I think just prior to that, Josh, we're not going to go into it too deeply, but the fact that May got the no try and then Buller got the no try, I just started getting negative vibes, like maybe this isn't our night because we could have got out of reach to a certain degree. And then when he scored there and got the goal, you just, you're wondering how can we come back from it? But to anyone that hasn't listened to Adele break down this try, it's actually really good stuff. I wouldn't go to your words about embarrassing, Josh. Like obviously the tackles have to be made, but if Fatape chases back instead of jogging back, he might have been the third guy that brings him down. But he was kind of like jogging back, waiting for someone else to do something, and rightfully, Buller probably should have showed this bloke the sideline and made the tackle, but. Slippery conditions. You can't get your footing right when you're going in for a tackle. Sure. He didn't look like he looked like he was in an awkward position during Buller. It's just a tough, like I said it last week's show, that the fullbacks are on a hiding to nothing, in those situations. And if he makes that tackle, maybe we make the game. But who knows? They might have scored from
probably past it anyway
from the next tackle. But it's just those effort plays, because that play the ball, Josh. That's what led to it. We only had one marker at play the ball. It was a 3-on-2. Down the short side, and before the play the ball, it's really, we're thinking happy days. They've got to go 75 metres to score here. They're not scoring this set, but they did, and that's what hurt it.
Yeah,
we played so well and just seemed like such an easy try.
Yeah, it was just, when I say that it was embarrassing, like you said, we were playing so well, and it was just one of those drop the guard, and get a knockout punch.
And people might think, like maybe Bird and Buller should have sort of Malachi crunched him, but Bird was doing the right thing, covering the inside pass. Bird actually points to Buller, you go for him. I've got the inside man. You know, maybe in a different world they swap, but I think everything worked out the way they wanted, except the actual completion of the tackles.
All right, might as well talk about it. The penalty goal that ultimately won them the game. As it's a tough one because Big Red, he's retreating as he's tackling. It was a penalty, but it's a tough one because it's not like Seyfarth came in and raised up high. He was literally retreating, and the ball carrier literally. I jokingly tweeted as he headbutted Seyfarth's shoulder, but it's only half jokingly because he kind of did.
Yeah, like I've seen the replay of it a couple of times, and it does look exactly like that. I wouldn't say Red's retreating. I'd say he's just holding his ground.
Yeah.
And he's waiting for the player to come to him because obviously it's a playmaker. You can't crunch the playmaker, especially because you don't know what they're going to do. He could have gone the pass. He could have done anything really, and Red's in that unfortunate position where you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, sort of thing. And I think he made the right decision to just hold his ground and wait for Nickel Cookstar to come to him. And then obviously the contact happens. It's unfortunate, but it's one of those ones where I feel like it's similar to when the player ducks into a high tackle. It shouldn't be considered a high tackle. Should be play on. Then obviously Nickel Cookstar stays down for the penalty, gets the penalty, gets the decision reviewed, or gets it reviewed by the bunker for any deliberate or foul play or anything like that. And then it comes back from the bunker that Seyfarth gets put on report and it's a penalty. And yeah, I think that was an absolute crock of poo. Don't agree with it at all. I think, and I said in the Discord, because people asked in the Discord as well about what was the reason, like what happened with the three players that were put on report. So obviously Jerome, Latu, which we haven't discussed yet, and then the Seyfarth one. And I think the NRL and the match review committee knew that it was a bit of a stupid decision to put Seyfarth on report, but because it was put on report, because it ended up being a game-deciding call, they kind of had to find Seyfarth to justify the penalty being awarded, which means Seyfarth's wallet cops the hit for a call that shouldn't have been made against him, which is very unfortunate, very unfair. And then there was obviously I'll digress a little bit and go back to the Latu one earlier in the second half where he goes low and the player, I forget who it was, gets upended, but they don't even go above the horizontal. There was nothing dangerous above that tackle at all. And that, I think, Rob, you might have mentioned it in the chat with Adele that you think, or someone in the Discord mentioned
Adele was spewing about it.
They thought that was a bit of a momentum turning call as well. The fact that one was penalised when it really didn't need to be, and all of the momentum we had from that prior 10 minutes and those two tries we scored, we just lost all that. And then from there, it was a real battle with the Warriors, and they were able to get on top of us.
It's not a penalty, but again, I don't know what the rules are in terms of challenging that decision. Are you allowed to challenge that and say, I don't think it's a penalty?
You can't because the decision for on report or not on report in those high contact incidences goes to the bunker regardless. So it's the bunker official who makes that decision. So you can't challenge it because it's already come from the bunker, which is where you go to challenge it.
Just to digress for 1 second too, we made a great challenge on a situation where we would have had a dropout from our own goal line and Lockie got pushed in the back. And it was good that one of our players, it might have been Taruva because Taruva was up in arms straight away, but we identified that. We ended up getting a penalty out of that. And so I think it's good to have your challenge for later in the game when you need it instead of using it in the first 10 minutes and blowing it. Even if you're in the right after 10 minutes, you might be just better off hanging on to your challenge than risk losing it. But yeah, there's nothing like players are going to, if you think players are milking now for a penalty, Aaron, wait till you see this weekend now.
It's going to get so much worse.
Like Nickel Clockstad's going to be, doing high jumps to try and reach people's shoulders to go down because he's done this before. And look, he's just taken advantage of the situation, and the refs know that if they don't give a penalty, it's going to look bad. So they have to put him on report. So they give him a penalty. It's just the way the game is. Good luck to him for taking advantage of it. Hopefully karma comes back and bites him in the arse somehow, or his team in the arse later on in the year when it matters.
a bit of a clarification as well on that rule that was announced on 360 a couple of nights ago. So it's not all high contact that's going to be sin binned or automatically
Contact to the head, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's direct contact to the head.
Same thing to me.
It's going to be a bit of a mess regardless, I think, and there are a lot of fullbacks in particular who are in that position. I mean, we look at Tedesco a lot as an example of this. His running style or his avoidance style is getting down low and kind of ducking and weaving his way through tackles. And if someone contacts him high, who are the Roosters playing? They're playing South, so that could be a little bit of an anything sort of situation there.
And the one thing we didn't touch on, which really hurt us a lot too, they got the penalty. Why doesn't he go off for an HIA? That's an awful thing.
Yeah,
that should have been automatic. He just gets rewarded and stays on there. The whole situation.
He basically took the next hit up.
He did,
and then he's also involved in that chase down where Fatape is running down the sideline to try and keep the ball in field, but isn't able to. Like, he's involved in chasing down that ball as well, and he shouldn't have been.
So Matthew's birthday today.
Yeah, my brother's
Happy
birthday
birthday,
today.
Matthew.
Yeah.
There you go. Your dad's
happy birthday, Matthew.
I was going to get to that at the end of the show, but anyway, Dad beat me to it.
Good on you, Matthew. Probably see him at when's the next home game? Leichhardt.
Easter Monday.
Easter. See me.
Easter Monday.
Someone was asking about my jersey. Where was it? So I pulled this one. This is the first time I've ever worn this one. It was a gift. Someone asked what year. I believe it's 2002. It's Is Don Is Good. I think it's 2002. But yeah, it's fully signed. I've never pulled it out of the cupboard because it's about 6 sizes too big for me. But there it was Clint. Clint asked 2000 or 2001. But yeah, I think it's actually got Terry Hill signature on it, so it might be worth a bit of coin. Make us an offer. Send us a DM. No, I probably wouldn't sell it.
Alex Roz in the YouTube comments as well said something that I agree with. He said, I feel like Skelton was actually a massive out, especially out of yardage. And I completely agree with that. The carries that Skelton
for sure
made in those first 3 games to get us out of trouble. Like, I remember looking at the stats, the Warriors out-meted us by quite a lot.
By 500.
Yeah, they were all over us in that regard, getting the ball out of their end and keeping us trapped in ours. And we just found it really hard to escape. And I think having Skelton out was a big reason for that. Like, the carries that he made in those first 3 games to get us out of our end were magnificent.
And just to further add to that, Josh, and it's not a knock on Fatape, but Fatape had 70 metres for the night. Skelton in his 3 games has carried for over 500 metres. They've basically averaged 170 metres per game. That's 100 more than what Fatape did the other night. And don't forget, Skelton missed the last 32 minutes of the Dolphins game. So he could have been hovering around the 550, 560 mark and averaging, 185 to 190.
Yeah.
So it's a massive difference in yardage carries, and perhaps we'll get onto it later, but perhaps that's why Luke Lowley is in there this week, and maybe he can do a little bit more of an effective job in ball carries from our end.
Righto, let's get to Benji's press conference. I don't think the NRL will ping me for playing this one, but let's see what happens.
We'll find out soon enough.
Sassy Benji was great fun, wasn't he?
Speaking of Sassy Benji, here's him talking about, not talking about the refs.
The game, you write whatever you think. I don't want to do what Ricky did. I don't want to risk getting fined and talk about the ref because we're not allowed to. So I won't bring it up.
You're allowed to talk about decisions, though. Was there any moments in there that...
I don't think we are. It's a fine for you, mate.
For the ringtone?
There's nothing more to say. If you're there watching, you know.
What's the difference?
Yeah, Benji basically he mentions Ricky getting a fine for bagging the refs, and the NRL's come out to say don't bag the refs, which is pretty hard in this day and age. Rob, how do you think Benji handled that question, talking about the officiating?
I think he handled it very well, and I keep saying this every week. I'm glad to see a little bit more emotion from Benji. I was actually happy to see some frustration from him. Loved seeing his emotions on the sideline in the second half today when I rewatched the game, because obviously I didn't see that through the game. It hurts, mate. He knows what a big game it is, and he knows what a big job he's got to try and get these guys up this week. I don't know how they do it. As a fan, I'm still feeling down, to be brutally honest. So I don't know how the players get up. That's why they're paid to do it, and they're professionals. But Good on Benji for not costing the club a lot of money, but it's going to get to a point at some stage where someone's got to, for want of a better term, grab them around the neck and say, guys, we've got just as much of a right to get a fair shot at penalties as other teams do. Look, I don't think the Warriors are a team that get all the calls, but yeah, if you're comparing it to the Melbournes and the Penriths and the better teams of the world, yeah, we just don't even come close to that. And if you listen to Adele's logic behind that, it's actually really good. So I won't go into that because that'll be another 10 minutes. But give actually the last 2 weeks a bit of a listen, because Adele's got some really good theories about how we have to just overcome these things before we get respect. Because right now, who cares if the West Tigers lose? That's basically how it is. But if that happens to Penrith or Melbourne, well, they're premiership contenders. There's going to be a lot more noise about it. But who cares if the West Tigers lose? That's where it's at right now.
It's a bit of an interesting one as well, because there's a lot less accountability on the refereeing and their decisions all of a sudden too, considering the fact that there's been that edict go out about coaches not being allowed to criticise them, and the fact that the Graham Annesley Monday briefings are a thing of the past as well. Like that, while that provided a little bit of accountability at times,
Good content for us.
it was Annesley sometimes would kind of support decisions that were very clearly wrong and kind of try to justify them. So we get some accountability and some answers for some of the decisions that are made, but the fact that those aren't a thing anymore is even more frustrating for the fans as a whole, because the referees, it seems like they can now get away with doing whatever the heck they feel like.
All refs are meant to do the same job, but why aren't we getting some experienced refs? Why do we always get the guys with P plates on? I don't even know what this guy's proper name is, and the guy we had the week before. Why aren't we getting the regular guys that we bag the crap out of instead of the new guys? We don't matter. That's the problem right now. We don't matter. And until we matter, nothing's going to change.
The other frustrating thing I think that we didn't really touch on was the fact that the Warriors throughout the game were getting a lot of those wrestle calls go their way. They were all over us in the ruck a lot of the time. A lot of the time we were trying to, we got tackled on our front, so we could get those. We win the tackle. We should be allowed to get that quick play the ball, but we don't, because the referee was just allowing the Warriors to lay down on us for a large portion of the game and get away with it for the majority of the game as well. And then, Josh, I think the one that frustrated us the most was last tackle inside, defending our 10-meter line. They got a set restart on the last tackle, down the end of the field that you
and
would
we
have
held
been
them
in
out
front
though.
of.
That's when
We held them out, and
we
forced an error. But the fact that he waited until the last tackle to give them that call, when we were probably doing the same thing for a few tackles beforehand as well, but it was something the Warriors were doing all game, getting away with all game, and it was just a really frustrating experience to.
The six again frustrates me like that, because we got one, I think, first tackle. And
got a couple of first tackles.
I was like, oh, thanks for that.
Nothing.
An extra one tackle. Thanks for that.
Yeah, but they get it on the sixth and last, which gives them another full set of 6.
Yeah. So, basically, you can get a bonus 1 or you get a bonus 6. It's such an uneven thing. I don't like it. I hated it too. I think we got the 1, and we were 55 meters out. So to get an extra tackle, it would have been nicer to just get a penalty and kick for touch and get in the red zone. The extra 1 tackle didn't really give us anything.
It's happened 2 weeks in a row. But the good thing
rule.
is this team's starting to overcome this. We won against the Dolphins, and we put ourselves in a position to beat the Warriors. So there are a lot of positives. Like I said, my only negative is we didn't get the 2 points, and there's 1 or 2 players that could do better, but you cannot be anything but proud of that effort.
Absolutely,
it was such a great effort, but it just hurts to go back and think we've got nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
I maintain that the NRL need to go back to the 2 referees, 2 on-field referees per game, because there's so much happening on the field. You need 1 referee watching the play the ball and from the position of the attacking side, I think, and then you need the other referee watching the defensive side from there, from the defense, the referee marking the defensive line. Because the touchies are missing forward passes. If they can't do their normal job, how are they supposed to do the job of the other on-field referee now that they don't exist?
I'll tell you what, if this high shot to the head is an automatic sin bin now, The Rob Stradamus for this week is get on the overs.
All 8 games.
In all the games, all 8 games, just get on the overs, because if there are teams going to be playing with
10 down to 10 versus 11 at one time, you reckon?
You'd think the betting agencies will put the lines up a little bit more this week by 4 to 6 points, because we've got dry conditions in Sydney. I think it's going to dry up in Queensland by Friday night. So there should be plenty of tries scored this weekend.
And I mean, you look at the fact that you've got Rabbits versus Roosters this weekend, the oldest rivalry in the game. They go at each other like hammer and tongs. So that would be a game definitely to get on the overs, because they could be down to 9 on 9.
3 or 4
Especially Latrell, he likes to, between Joey Manu, Noffa back in the day, he likes to take a head off himself.
For one,
yeah.
Gosh.
I think that basically cost us a game from memory.
I think we had we had a bit happen that game.
Yeah. Right, Benji, talking about Happy Coruscant. Sorry, just Happy
It was just
Coruscant.
business, we just got on with it.
That is a significant step, though, isn't it, Abby? But being able to get on with it, and you guys rallied, they took 3 leads, and you guys kept coming back at them. They didn't get it in the end, but is that a step forward, being able to keep coming back at a good team?
Yeah, obviously, we wanted to play our kind of footy and our style. We didn't do that at the start, but like you said, we went into the end, and that's what we're proud of.
Thoughts on what Appy says there, Az?
I agree with him. I think it's a really important part of the growth of this team, the fact that they're able to hang in there and not fall away like we probably would have in the past. And like Rob said at the start, Benji wouldn't be wanting the team to look at the past and what's happened. But in a growth perspective, the fact that we're only 4 rounds into this brand new season with this basically brand new team, minus a few stalwarts that have been there for some time, the fact that they are showing a lot more resilience and a lot more growth in a lot of these areas, really promising sign for the rest of the year moving forward.
Thoughts on Appy Coruscant's performance, Rob, and effort?
Appy's at the stage now, a lot like Benji Marshall used to be back in the day, and I think I said this last week too, so I don't want to be too repetitive. Unless Appy has a 12 out of 10, you don't really notice him. I thought Appy was brilliant. I mean, sure, he misses probably half a dozen tackles a game, but a lot of those misses, he's actually bouncing players back to where the traffic is, like where our forwards are. I can't fault his effort. I think, on Appy as well, I think Benji made a really good double substitution when the Warriors were on our line, and it looked like we were going to be sort of, get out to a 2-score deficit. He took Royce Hunt and Talon De Silva off, I think, at the same time. And his effort was amazing, mate. It's he got us around the park. He milked a couple of penalties. He almost got a 40-20. He got us on the front foot. But again, the disturbing part for me, just in terms of where normally Appy gets us on the front foot, we only averaged 38 metres per set. I think the Warriors were 45 or 47, something like that. So that's really quite poor. I don't think it's all to do with the conditions. I think they just gang tackled us. They were expecting the one off the ruck hit up, and they were coming out flying in numbers of 3, putting guys to the ground. They just seemed to win the wrestle, win the ruck. And I keep saying it, they were the better team, but in some ways we were the better team to overcome it. It's just disappointing to lose that game. I keep saying it, but it's just, it felt like a final loss, guys. I know it's so stupid to say in round 4. It really felt like I'd lost the semi-final. And not that I know what that's looked like for the last 14 years, but it had that same devastating feeling.
We'd also used 6 of our 8 interchanges within the first 10 minutes of the second half. So we basically had the last 30 minutes or 30 plus minutes of the game with only 2 interchanges left. And we obviously had to save one in case anything happened. So the fact that we had so much, like I said before, so much adversity throughout the game, those injuries really screwed us. It was all a bit of a mess. But yeah, the fact that they were able to hang in there, stay in the grind for as long as they did, get on top at one point before slipping away late, credit to the team, massive credit to the team.
It's almost too, Josh, like we lose Sam Weller, so that we're down to 16. We've lost Adam before the game. We had to put Latu on the bench, so all of a sudden our bench is really light. We lose Jack Bird from playing a middle to playing at centre. He basically had 14 men to use. In the second half, Benji refused to put Royce Hunt back on because, let's face it, he's not fit enough to do a job. He only played 20 minutes the other night. And he can't put Talon back on because we're already small. We've already got Appy out there. We've already got Latu out there. We've already got 2 other halves out there. He just could not use Talon De Silva. So he basically had a 14-man bench, and it just Royce Hunt's been fantastic this year, but the other night I thought he was awful. I know his stats don't look that bad, 15 tackles, 2 missed. I agree to disagree with Adele about the try for Metcalf where Wade Egan went through and gave it to not Nickel Clockstad. Yeah, was that? No, Harris Tavita, and then Harris Tavita gives it to Metcalf. To me, that's all, that's on him. I know the markers weren't in play, but doesn't mean you charge up and leave a gaping hole for Wade Egan. Wade Egan had so much time the other night. He was like a conductor in the orchestra. If Appy had that much time all night, we probably win by 24. But the Warriors didn't give Appy that sort of time. So it's just a disappointing one that, I've actually got some numbers here. So I know Bird played 80 guys, but Bird's first 3 games, 52 minutes, 32 minutes, 52 minutes. He played 80 the other night. Granted, it was centre. Sione Fainu, who's our 17th man, 15 minutes, 16 minutes, and 32 minutes in the first 3 rounds. Round 4, he put out 53 minutes. Vanua Bole, 44 minutes, 57 minutes, 56 minutes. The other night, 69 minutes. Everyone did extra. Don't tell me Royce Hunt can't do extra just because his frame or his built, or as Adele called him, a pinch hitter. I don't care if he's a pinch hitter. You got to be a slogger. You got to just put in the extra few minutes like everyone else did. He put 30 minutes in the week before. Why could he only put 20 this week? So I don't buy. We've got to get more out of Royce Hunt. I just thought we're handicapped. We either need 5 men on a bench to make up for Royce Hunt, because something's going on. Terrell May's gone from averaging 45 minutes a game to, nearly 70-something after his 80-minute performance the other night. Everyone did the extra stuff except Royce Hunt. So if Benji's happy with that, then that's all that matters. Personally, I'm not happy with it. I don't think our fans should be happy with the output we're getting from Royce Hunt.
Let's one last Benji clip talking about Latu.
Yeah, we've been working with Latu, getting some time in the team. He's too good to be playing reserve grade, so finding a spot for him, and I thought he did a great job in the middle there for us, someone who's never played there. He was good.
Thoughts on Latu's performance as?
I thought it was really, really good. He changed the momentum of the game when he come on. He had a really good stint there as well. Obviously scored that try from that position too. Brought a lot in, added a lot into the attack, which basically gave us that ball making or that ball playing playmaker at 13 that some other teams have these days. Obviously, he probably wouldn't be able to do it long term, but for that little bit of impetus he gave the team, like Adele said, it really does cause a conundrum of, do we keep Talon on the bench to give Appy that break? Because I remember Adele saying he believes Appy can and should play the full 80. Or do we have Latu on to be that ball-playing playmaker at 13 to take over from Twal, which would open up a few different options for Jack Bird and his role when he comes onto the field too.
Well, like Adele said, I think that's the conundrum for Benji to work out.
Yeah.
I personally, we can't carry Talon and Latu on the bench.
Exactly.
At the same time, Latu showed he should be there. He's the only genuine halfback in our club. And whether you call him a lock or a halfback or whatever, bottom line is he was first receiver. He played a lot of first receiver the other night, and it actually helped both Lockie and Jerome do their stuff. He was really good. I just hope this week, and we'll get onto the game shortly, I just hope this week that he sort of demands the ball a little bit more. I think in that first trial we played this year against Canterbury at Cogra, it was really Lockie dictating, when he got the ball and how he wanted it. I think Latu's just got to have a little bit more voice and have more of an even distribution of the ball like Jerome and Lockie are doing right now.
All right, player rating times. Thank you to everyone who's submitted their player ratings and their rants. We'll get to the rants after this as well. Okay, so player ratings for this week. Dream Buller, 7.1. Our wingers, Sania Turuva, 7.1. Fatape, 5.2. Centres, 5.8 for Starfatoa, 7.1 for Jack Bird. Our halves, Lachlan Galvin, 6.9. Jerome Luai, only 6.5 this week. Our front rowers, 8.8 for Terrell May, 8.4 for Vanua Pole. Api Coruscant, 7.4. Our back rowers, Fainu, only 5.4, probably a bit harsh, but he did come off injured. 6.4 for Big Red. I can hear Riff might be going off, might be a bit unders for Alex there. I guess the giving away the penalty might have cost him a couple of points. Alex 12, 6.3. Talon De Silva 6.2. Royce Hunt 5.7. Sione Fainu 6.8. And Latu Fainu 7.8. Anyone got any overs or unders there from what you can see?
Aaron? Having a bit of a look at that, I think a lot of that's rather fair. Again, I keep saying it, but it's really tough to judge players who go off the field after like part of the game if they don't get to play out the game like they normally would. So Sam Weller, I think, is pretty stiff to get just a 5.4. Royce Hunt, I think, like Rob said, is a 5.7 is a little bit fair. Talon, I think, probably deserved a little bit more than a 6.2. I'd probably up Talon to maybe about a 7.3, 7.4. I think much better performance from him than what a 6.2 would show. Overall, considering we lost and a lot of the time last year when we did, or 2 years ago, because we did a little bit of a different player ratings, but a couple of years ago when we did the player ratings like this, a loss would mean a lot of, I think, 4s and 5s and 6s, but in a loss, we're getting an 8.8 and an 8.4. So that shows that we've come a long way since then.
I think Lachlan Galvin 6.9 is a bit unders. I think he was better than a 6.9. Set up 2 tries.
7.5, 7.6, 7.8.
7 out of 10, 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I think he's
Fair
closer
enough.
to an 8. Yeah. Yeah, I think 6. He should be at least in the 7s, I think, setting up a couple of tries.
The one for me that is an interesting one, watching the game live at Campbelltown on the eye, I kind of agreed with like giving Toa about a 6 out of 10. I thought especially seeing him hang back a couple of times at the ground, not being in position when the game was on the line in one instance, although he did back up Taruva for the really nice chip over the top at the end of the game that Lockie did. But then when I looked at his stats, he had 181 metres, 14 tackles, none missed, and an offload. So his stats are deceiving to what you see out there. Talon was an interesting one. I thought he wasn't out there for very long. What did Talon do? Talon only had 18 minutes, but his contact and his defence, he wasn't in position at marker a lot, which really hurt. But again, being there watching the game and how he looked on the eye, I've never seen a bloke look so enthusiastic. He was ripping into everything. It's just the execution wasn't there defensively. It's a work in progress, man. What's the guy had? A dozen games. So we'll get better. But really, for me, the only weak link was Royce Hunt. I wouldn't have even given him a 5. I would have given him 5 laps around the oval. I would not give him a point. It really pissed me off because he's been so good for us. And when his team needed him to steamroll some players, his first touch, he passes it on to someone else to do the hit-up. Mate, that's why you only got 31 metres in 3 carries. I know New Zealand had the ball for most of the time he was out there, but 3 carries in 20 minutes? Come on, guys. It's not enough.
Righto, moving on to your best rants of the week. Where am I up to? Oh, no, sorry.
3, 2, 1s.
3, 2, 1s, yep. So based on your votes, Terome got 3 points, Funil Bole got 2, and Latu Fainu got the 1. RB, what's yours for this week?
I gave mine to May. I mean, what was it? 202 metres or something, 48 tackles, 1 miss, 3 offloads. On the eye, Fanua looked more flashy. He had a lot of footwork, but again, he had a couple of errors. He had 6 or 7 missed tackles. He lost the ball after he scored the try from the following set of 6. But how do you knock a bloke that's put 70 minutes in? So I'm only saying that just to make Terrell May look better. My 2 went to Fanua. Probably the best combination of 2 props we've ever had in a single game that I can remember in a long, long time. And my 1-pointer is going to be a little bit controversial. Again, it was mainly because I was at the game, and I know he missed a tackle on the Warriors guy that tied up the game. But Jack Bird was amazing to play out of position for 80 minutes. Every time he ran the ball, he ran it pretty strongly, even carrying 3 or 4 Warriors around him. He's been a really good buy, guys. And I think we said it pre-season, if we can keep him on the field for, 19 or 20 games, he's going to be a huge asset. He's been a huge asset already. We really missed his punch up the middle. I hope he's not a late inclusion to be centre this week, although I don't know what the alternatives are. If we've got to put Fata Ape there, if Adam doesn't play, that would worry me too. But we definitely missed his thrust up the middle. But I gave him a 1. But, you know, Coruscant, Buller, there were plenty of other players there that you could have given a point to.
So I'm going to go backwards again like I did last week because I think it's a bit more fun that way.
The backwards band.
So I gave my 1 to one of the players Rob just mentioned who he could have given 1 to, and that was Jareem Buller. I really enjoyed Buller's enthusiasm throughout the game. A lot of really good carries out of our end, which he had to kind of step up and do a little bit more. He ran a lot straighter than he has a habit of doing as well, which I thought was really, really good. Obviously, a really unfortunate miss for the Lika Halasima try, but I mean, we were probably fairly gassed at that point, considering the team as a whole had done a lot of extra work that, if without the injuries and without the late shuffling, probably wouldn't have needed to be done. My 2 I gave to Terrell May, another outstanding game by him. Like Rob said, 200 plus meters, a full 80-minute stint, quality 80-minute stint as well. So like playing that sort of minutes is one thing, but making sure those minutes are quality is another. And he stepped up and he really did that. And that's what we need from him. That's what we brought him to the club to do. And I gave my 3 to Fanua Pole. So I basically reversed the 3 and the 2 that Rob gave out. Main reason I went 3 for Fanua was I thought that the fact that he went off the field, probably thought he'd be getting a bit of a longer break than he actually ended up getting. And then just coming out there and doing a job for the rest of the game should give him a lot of credit. He scored a really, really good try with one of his first touches of the ball in the early stages of the game. It was a bit of a shame that the set after we scored those points, he did make a bit of an error, which put the Warriors back in attacking position. But I think throughout the rest of the game, he more than made up for it. Was really impressed with Fanua and his game. So, yeah, he's got my 3 2 weeks in a row.
So the totals at the moment, Terrell May way out in front, 21. Bowley's pushed into second with 13. Dream's got 8. Skelton there in 6 with 6 points. Appy and Galvin with 5. Twiley with 4. And a couple others trailing behind. Righto. Now it is time for your best rants. Kathy said, such a bummer. A win tonight would have done so much for the psyche. China up, lads. I think she meant chin up.
Yeah.
Chin up, lads.
Chins up.
Well, the China is up there. The boats are off our coastline at the moment. I think she means chin up, lads.
Should get Kathy to do that in a Donald Trump voice.
China. Yes, she made some silly mistakes when it counted. We didn't get the rub of the green, but still showed heart and resilience, which will put you in good stead throughout the year. West Tigers for life. On to, where's my next one? Apologies, they're not in order. Ben said, Latu was a spark man, absolutely changed the game for us. He needs a spot somewhere. Luai and Galvin were poor when we needed them in the final 10. May and Pole were fucking animals today. The effort and the pride this team has is on a new level. We need to work a lot on our structures and attack, but we have the mental side, time to get the technical right. One of those 2 tries go our way. We win. Sliding doors moment. Absolutely.
I want to take exception to the halves not being there in the last 10 minutes. I mean, Luai puts that beautiful grubber kick where Fata Ape has a brain fade and boots it to one of his relatives in the crowd. And Lockie puts that chip over the top, the cross kick chip over the top in the final minute of the game that lands perfectly on Taruva's chest. It's not his fault that Taruva doesn't think to just pass it inside and hope for the best and not knowing that Toa is going to be there and run 50 metres and score. So I think, I mean, they're not Supermen. They're not going to fly over the top of defences. They create it. It's a team game. Everyone else has to do their part. So, he's allowed to have his opinion, but I think that's a little bit harsh. And I thought Luai's defence with a bung shoulder was incredible that second half. He tackled his ass off. He made some hits. He caused a turnover after making a brilliant tackle. The tackle before that as well that got us a scrum near halfway. He charged out of the line on our try line at one stage when we'd had those multiple sets that Aaron was talking about where they got the 6 again on the last tackle. He's inspirational. I mean, his attack isn't what we expect yet, but just give him time. Once he realises everyone in the team's doing what they're supposed to do, then maybe he can focus a little bit more about his individual play.
Steve said, the team reminds me of a boxer who goes the distance hoping for a points victory because he doesn't have a knockout punch. Richo and Benji need to recruit accordingly. The big positive was Latu. Wow, he must be included in the 17 somewhere. I actually think Locke could be his position.
Go back to the 77th minute of the Dolphins game last week, guys. That's what I call a knockout punch. We do have it in us.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Adam said the team played like a hot, steamy poo in the last 15 minutes, the kind of poo that gives you the shits and has corn in it, not the kind of poo that you take home and show your dad. And they need to play less diarrhea poo and more solid, girthy poo that makes you proud to pick up out of the toilet and show your grandpa on his birthday. Go Tigers, please.
Is that where you got the poo from this week? Oh, you used the poo earlier tonight.
Well, I'd say that instead of saying another bad word, but I think it's a reasonable word that, replaces one of the other potential swear words that I'm trying not to say tonight.
All right, who chose David as a winner of the $20 Orange Grove voucher? Can you see that screen all right, Rob? Can you read that?
I'll give it a go. Conditions, injuries, and poor officiating cost us the game. The effort was there and the team dug in. The one thing that confuses me is the penalty at the end. If it was a high shot from Seyfarth, then shouldn't CNK, Charles Nickel Cockstead, go off for HIA? He stayed down, so there's an injury, which was BS. My issue is when Galvin chips over the top to Taruva later on, who's there making the tackle? I think you've pointed that out earlier, Aaron. Charles Nickel Cockstead was there. Maybe Coach Adele can clear that up for everyone. I just hope we can regroup, recoup, and recover well enough to compete against the Broncos next week. Forever a Tiger. Love your work, gents.
Thank you, David. Slide into our DMs, David, and I'll give you the details on how to come to the Orange Grove Hotel, which you can do Saturday night, and you'll have $20.
Try and come on a Saturday or a Wednesday so we can have a drink and a feed.
Yeah,
together.
yeah, come when we're here and shout us. Are you here? No, you don't have to. You can get an $18 burger on a Wednesday night. Rob Fattore. Is that how you say that name?
That's how I'd say it.
It looks
Fattore.
Yeah, it looks Italian.
It is Italian.
Fattore. As you chose him to win the 20, if he's Italian, we'll love a $20 voucher. I know that being in an Italian family, but read out Rob's for us, as.
We were behind the 8 ball from the start, AD out, then run in the rain against the wind against huge angry Warriors side. We fight our way through all the adversity, injuries, and bad refereeing to have the game under control with 10 to go. With Luai defending on the wing with a bad shoulder, we get caught short and they score. Then we lose on a terrible ref/bunker call. I feel so sorry for Benji. He is doing a fantastic job keeping the boys together. Bring on the Broncos.
Beautiful. Thank you, Rob. Yep, slide into the DMs or you can email us as well, podcast at westlife.com. You can do that. Any inquiries, feel free, shoot us an email. If you have anything you'd like to, anyone out there wants to inquire about something to do with the show, if you want to support the show. But yeah, Rob, send us a message. Not this Rob.
Fattore.
Righto, moving on to where are we at?
We're at the Orange Grove.
We're at the Orange Grove. We are at the Orange Grove. I'm just trying to find where we're at. Righto. Oh, we're moving on to this week's game. Read it out, please, if you will, as the backlines for the Broncos and the West Tigers, who will play 7:35 on Saturday evening.
All right. So for the Tigers first, Jareem Buller is at fullback with Sunia Taruva and Luke Laulii on the wings. Adam Dewey and Stafford Toa are in the centres with Lachlan Galvin and Latu Fainu in the halves. For the Broncos, it is Reece Walsh at fullback, Selwyn Cobbo and Jesse Arthurs are the wingers with Katoni Staggs and Jemmet Shibasaki in the centres. The old farts group, Ben Hunt and Adam Reynolds, are the halves pairing.
And I am older than both of them. So thanks for that, Az.
I meant from a playing
From
age
rugby
standpoint.
league point of view.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Just
I know.
save myself a little bit before I put my foot further in my mouth.
I think Daly Cherry Evans is the only player currently older.
I think so. Yeah, that does sound pretty correct.
Yeah. Righto, Rob, thoughts on those backlines?
Well, obviously, you've just pointed out the obvious, the really old halves combination against one of the youngest to ever be put on the field. I'm still sceptical about whether Adam plays or not. I've never played rugby league at any real level. If you got a groin injury, you got a groin injury. Can it be better after a week? If it was that bad in the warm-up, how can you back up 6 days later? So I don't know if Adam's going to line up. Obviously, it'll be interesting to see how Luke goes on the wing. He got a taste of it last year. He's certainly a strong defender, strong runner of the ball. Big job on another big body in Selwyn Cobbo, who'll be opposite him. But hopefully he can do the job, and I hope he can make, at least crack the 100-metre mark in carries out of our end. I'm sure he's just there particularly for his yardage, but we'll see how it goes. I'm excited to see how the boys back up, because that really was a heartbreaker. So if the boys can back up and put in a respectable performance, I think that's all we'd all be happy with that.
All right, Az, run us through the forward packs.
All right, so the Tigers forward pack, we've got Terrell May and Whenua Pole in the front row with Api Coruscant at hooker. Samuela Fainu and Alex Seyfarth are the second rowers with Alex Twal at lock. For the Broncos, it is Patrick Carrigan and Payne Haas at prop with Corey Pakes at hooker. Jack Gajewski, Brendan Piakura, and Kobe Hetherington Jack Gajewski and Brendan Piakura are the second row with Kobe Hetherington at lock.
Gajewski, let's get out. Thoughts on forward packs, Rob?
Well, ours is unchanged. Will Samuela back up? That is the question. I mean, he got the cork the week before. We thought he was right for last week, and he only lasted 33 minutes. Piakura, I mean, will he go to the right edge where Jordan Ricky is? Because normally he does play left edge. I guess they're not going to change too much. I'll probably leave Gazewski on the left and play him on the right. Look, Payne Haas, that's who you got to stop. If Payne Haas starts playing pinball, and our guys, start getting knocked over like 9 pins, then Corey Pays and Billy Walters are going to have a field day from dummy half. So I don't know how you stop the bloke, guys. He's the best prop in the game, and I think we've probably got the second best prop, if not the third best prop in the game. So that's going to be a hell of a matchup.
Terrell May's going to play Origin this year, surely.
100%.
Yeah.
I don't know why people are even questioning it. And I actually think if Terrell can play Origin, he'll actually go even harder, because he doesn't have to pace himself for a long stint. He might only play 40 or 50 minutes. So
yeah. Maybe less off
his
the bench.
quality will even be higher. He'll probably promote the ball a little bit more and use his offload that he's got. Look, it's really, I think it's just a big mental game now. If we back up mentally, and just if they've put the loss behind them, the Broncos can have their off days. Reece Walsh can be, he can be the best player in the world one day, and he can be rocks and the other day. So I hope we do a job on it. We've got to stop those shapes, the block shapes they do, especially when Reece Walsh gets it. His speed's going to be devastating. We've just got to be in their face. I think we're probably going to have to give a lot of 6 agains, and just, if they get into our red zone, so be it, because I think they're really lethal from all parts of the field. So we might have to just play that little, bit of a, what would you call it, spoilers game, and just be the bad guys and not allow the Broncos to play pretty football. We can do it, but yeah, whether we can or not, whether we will or not is a different story.
What do you think of Carrigan being moved from lock to front row by Madge this season? Are you seeing much of a difference in his game based on what we've seen so far?
I don't know. Is there much of a difference? He's still playing in the middle. He's still belting out good minutes. I don't know what that achieves. What I did notice with Kobe Hetherington last week, and I only know this from a super coach point of view because I flicked him this week, he only put out 22 minutes and never came back on the field. So it'll be interesting to see how many minutes Kobe Hetherington gets. I think it was Jensen that took up a bunch of minutes of his last week. So I don't know what the ploy is there, but I don't rate Hetherington. I don't rate Jacewski. Like, there's a couple of guys I don't rate, but Payne Haas is that pack. You stop Payne Haas, you're halfway to stopping the Broncos. But they've got so many lethal backs, good finishers. Shibasaki scored a couple of tries last week. He's in good form. Arthur's is a great finisher. And Reece Walsh hasn't really had a great game yet. So knowing how lucky he probably finds this week.
Usually how it goes.
Look, just the old cliches, guys. One set at a time. Just play to our structures. Do what we do right. Control what we can control, and what we can't control, so be it. If Payne Haas runs 200 meters, then there's not much we can do about it.
But as benches.
All right. So for us, our bench is as it was named last Tuesday as well, even though it didn't run out that way last week. So Talon De Silva, Royce Hunt, Jack Bird, and Sione Fainu. For the Broncos, it's an old friend in Billy Walters, as well as Corey Jensen, Xavier Willison, and Jaden Hunt. Our reserves, so our 18th man is Heath Mason. The rest of our reserves are Kit Laulii, Solomona Fa'atape, Ruben Porter, and Tony Sukar. For the Broncos, their 18th man is Tyson Smoothie. The rest of their reserves are Dean Mariner, Martin Tapa'u, Benjamin Takura, and Jock Madden.
Do you reckon Tyson Smoothie's been to the Big Pineapple before? Actually, that's a marketing.
Not bad when you got Tyson Smoothie as your third best hooker.
Yeah.
Look, they've got 3 props on their bench, like out-and-out genuine props. And obviously, Billy Walters nowadays is a hooker, but he has played a bit of 5'8" before. We've obviously got 2 props on our bench as well, although Sione can play an edge. And obviously, Jack Bird's a little bit more versatile. They've got a lot of size in that team. But and Madge and Benji, I'm sure there's no love lost from Benji's last year at the West Tigers, and obviously not being wanted the following year, so Benji couldn't go out on his terms at the Tigers. So I think there's going to be a lot of feeling in this match, and Madge will have the Broncos revved up to the max.
Any thoughts, Az, before we go to the tips for the week?
Yeah, not too much more than what Rob has said. Just my genuine thoughts on the game as a whole. The Broncos seem to be a bit of a team that can underestimate their opponent, which I think they did in round 2 against the Raiders, which was their only loss. I think they thought maybe the Raiders wouldn't back up from Vegas as well as they did, and they kind of underestimated them and took them a little bit lightly. And as a result, a lot of the plays that they made, they were playing as individuals instead of playing as a team, all trying to do the heroic thing. Reece Walsh, for one, had an absolute mare of a game that night down in Canberra. And I think one of the biggest things that would give us a chance to win this game is if the Broncos underestimate us due to the fact that there is no Jerome Luai, who is not necessarily our main man, but the barometer, I would say, over the last month of footy. So if we do catch them on an off night, there is a chance that we can go up there, kick them into the ground and kind of nullify the effect of their really good players. But like Rob said, Payne Haas is the man you have to stop, and just quietly, Payne Haas, the highest scoring player in Supercoach over the first 4 rounds. Terrell May, the 3rd highest scoring player in Supercoach over the first 4 rounds. And the fact that they're lining up against each other on the same side of the field, that's going to be worth the price of admission alone, that matchup. That's going to be an absolute beauty all night.
One for the stats.
I don't think it's a coincidence that Canberra beat Brisbane with the fact that they match up so well physically. They are a huge team, Canberra, especially with the prop forwards they start with and the prop forwards they've got on the bench. They're probably one of the few teams that are equipped to handle Payne Haas. We're not as well endowed in the prop department, for want of a better term.
How do you know?
Well, I think there was one of the comments in the rants was I was going to select it until the person kept going on about I was like going to bed with 2 inches or showing 2 inches.
I remember seeing that one, having a bit of a chuckle at the 2 inches.
About the 2 inches. I thought, okay, well, not picking you.
Right, tips for the week. We've all gone the Raiders. Who are the Raiders? Who are the draw?
Sharkies.
As playing the Sharkies.
Canberra.
It's That's a tough. Tipping's
Very
tough this year.
round.
Tough season.
4 out of 8 is my best round. That's how bad I'm going.
Raiders are at home. That's why
That's my worst.
That's why I've gone Raiders. Sharks are pretenders.
Yeah, I think Aaron mentioned earlier today on the Discord that Pyro's out at left centre for the Sharks. I've actually gone a little bit differently this week, Josh, with a lot of my tips. I've basically worked out logically who I think's going to win and tip the opposite team.
Yeah, right.
But I was wondering why you went so many different to Josh and me when I saw the slides
we will
yesterday.
get to that. I will mention them as I go as to why I think a certain team will win and why I've taken the opposite.
Okay. We've all gone Panthers against the Cowboys.
Yes.
Panthers home game.
Desperate win, although it's at Parramatta.
Yeah.
Yeah, but desperate times for Penrith, so they'll come out. Cleary will have a blinder.
Cleary's back, is he?
Yeah, they'll win by 13 plus. Well, he missed out because of a mandatory 11 days for the head knock.
Yeah.
So he's back. I think they kill him.
They will be fuming up the way they lost to Souths, the way they let Souths get out to 28-0 at halftime. Like, that was just dreadful from their lofty standards that they've set for themselves. And they will come out with an axe to grind this week. They will be determined. They will be hungry.
And one thing for West Tigers fans to watch out for in that game, an old mate of ours called Isaiah Papali'i will be starting at left second row.
I did see that.
Let's see how he goes this week.
Righto, Rabbitohs and Roosters. Az and I have gone the filthy old Rabbitohs. Rob, you've gone the Chookies.
Yeah, I think South have been playing great. They get Latrell Mitchell back, which is an absolute huge bonus for them.
In the centres, though.
I think they've got the Roosters covered. Yeah, I know, at the centre. Well, I think that was because Campbell Graham's out, so they're switching White, and I think to the...
And Jai Gray's absolutely braining it.
Gray's been playing well, so I've got every reason to tip the Rabbits, so that's why I've taken the Roosters.
I heard today Jai Gray is the same height as Hugh Bowman.
I didn't know that, but
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that either.
I want Heath Mason to be our
Shorter
Jai
than
Gray.
me.
That
Shorter
needs
than
to
me.
be Heath Mason's goal.
I can't believe Jai Gray's leading the Dally M's at the
He's
moment.
playing fantastically well.
He is,
Really
but
is.
it's still a very, very big surprise to me that he's leading the Dally M's.
Probably because he's standing out in a crappy team.
Yeah.
True.
Now the Latrell's back. There's no Latrell. There's no Cam Murray. Damien Cook's gone to another club. They're like a few of their flashier players aren't there anymore.
Para the Dragons. Az and I have gone Dragons. You've gone Para. Look, I was tempted to tip Para in this one, playing at home. Dragons maybe coming down after a big win last week, but I wouldn't be surprised if Para get their first win in this one. But I've gone Dragons. Why have you gone Eels, Rob?
Because the Dragons played unbelievably well last week against probably the premiership favourites. It's one of the best performances I've seen, given they were absolutely refereed out of the game. I got no other reason than Parramatta are due. I got no other reason. I really should be tipping St George, but I'm way behind in the tipping comp, so I want to make up some
Hail
ground.
Marys.
They got to win a game at some stage, don't they? So why not?
Hope not.
Why not this week?
My philosophy when it comes to these games at this stage of the season is if you haven't won a game, I can't tip you until you win a game. So, I mean, and in certain circumstances, I can't tip a team until they prove they can win at a certain venue or away from home. For example, the Titans got the win against the Roosters last week, but I had said pre-game that I can't tip the Titans in Sydney until they show me they can win in Sydney. And obviously they immediately proved me wrong. So let's see if the Eels prove me wrong this week. But yeah, I can't tip them until they win.
Az and I have gone the Titans, and Roberto, have you gone the Dolphins? Is that at Skilled?
What's Seabus?
Seabus? Skilled. When was the last time it was called Skilled Stadium?
I just figure if the Dolphins are going to win a game, this is the game. The Titans are playing well. They've had 2 good wins in a row against Newcastle and the Roosters. But if you watch that Roosters game last week, the Roosters are up by 4 points, get a penalty right next to the sticks. They decline to kick a goal. A couple of minutes later, Sandon Smith throws an intercept and Jaden Campbell goes 90 metres. I don't think they won the game. I feel like the Roosters are playing really impatient football at the moment. They're not grinding. They want to knock people out. And
like headless chooks.
Yeah, they're very much like headless chooks. But look, I just think if the Dolphins are going to win a game, and you know what, they didn't play too badly against the Broncos. They played really well against us for 50 minutes. So I don't think the Titans are that great. Yeah, it's a winnable game for either team. It's a 50-50.
I've gone with the Titans just because they're at home after the performance they had at home against the Knights. They looked absolutely brilliant against the Knights, and the Knights were obviously undefeated going into that game against them after beating us and then beating the Dolphins. So the performance the Titans put on at home a couple of weeks ago, I'm backing them in to put another performance on in front of their home fans. I think they're pretty good chance of winning this one.
I might be crazy to try to go on a bit of a tangent. We are a West Tigers themed podcast. When I look at the teams across the comp, I might be biased. Not might be. I am very biased. But when I look at all the other teams and how they're kind of at the moment, I feel like the Tigers can beat just about any. Obviously, if we have Jerome and all our guys fit on the park, it's only really this weekend the Broncos. I'm not overly confident. I wouldn't be confident playing in Melbourne. Every other team, I feel like we could actually get the win against them. The comp's so even at the moment.
I agree. I think there's a dozen teams. I honestly know Canterbury going well. I'd love to play Canterbury too. There's not many teams I'm scared of except for the one this week.
This week, yeah.
Scared of Melbourne. Maybe Penrith.
With Cleary.
Firing.
Yeah.
But
they don't play they're playing at CommBank and still kind of they're not as scary.
I've said it from day dot, mate. We've got a problem with depth, and and when someone gets injured, that's an issue. But even before they get injured, Josh, I don't want to throw shade on players, but I think I'm not going to mention names. There's 2 or 3 players in our first grade 17 that I don't think would make a 17 at other clubs, or they definitely wouldn't make the starting 13. And that's so we talk about not having depth, but we actually almost don't have depth to start with because like we need a couple of good forwards. We need a classy centre. There's just a few pieces missing there that it's like we're starting behind the 8 ball. So for us to do what we're doing with, in my opinion, 14 really bloody good first grade footballers in a 17-man squad is excellent. When Richo gets it all right, we're going to be a very formidable team. We're a formidable team now.
In saying that, we've all tipped the Broncos.
I tip Broncos, unfortunately. Yeah, I just, when it comes back to how many points each team's got, I feel like the Broncos have got more points in them. If I was the coach, I feel like the West Tigers are going to be worried about how do they stop the Broncos. How you stop the Broncos is go attack the Broncos, go score points. Don't wait for them. If you're waiting for them, they're going to get you. Go out, attack them, beat them in the middle if you can. Play your game, throw the ball around a little bit, give them something to defend. If you're just going to play simple, boring football and let them come at you all game, eventually they're going to crack. They've had a couple of games this year, the Broncos. One in particular, I think it might have been the Dolphins game, and there might have been another game where the other opposition's been in the game for 25 to 30 minutes and they've gone with them set for set. But eventually the Broncos get you. We've got to really try and get on top early and stay there.
I can't believe how big of an underdog we are in this game, considering our start of the season.
I said it at the start of the
17.5,
like $5.50 or
Yeah.
something.
17.5 is the line, $6. I don't think we're going to lose by 13 plus. So I think there's if you've got a betting thing where you can choose your own line and make it like a 12.5 or a minus 12.5 for us, or a plus 12.5. Sorry,
plus money.
I think you find really good value in that because I don't think we're going to lose 13 plus.
Yeah, I can see us keeping it tight. I can see us being angry at why we lost. We've all gone Storm at Brookie against the Manly Seagulls. Yeah, no Tommy Turbo. That's my theory.
Yeah, look, the Seagulls don't lose much at Brookvale. I've said that before, and the Storm were hopeless against St George, and that's why I've tipped the Storm. I can't see the Storm being absolute rubbish 2 weeks in a row, but I really should be tipping the Seagulls. They're still good enough to win. They're playing great footy. They've still got their halves. I mean, they're going to lose a lot with Turbo not there, but they've still got enough points in them and enough strike to win the game.
Is it supposed to be raining again this weekend?
No, I checked the weather out
in Sydney or Brisbane?
Sydney. It's dry Saturday, Sunday.
That's meant to be pretty hot next week too.
Yeah, I mean, I think the issue the Storm had was the weather, and I think they tried to play too simple a style of game against the Dragons, even though the ref obviously held them out a lot, like you said earlier, Rob.
Come back in the microphone, bro.
The fact that they just had a really
just
crappy time of it.
Yeah,
just turn Az's mic towards him.
What's going on?
No.
Yeah, turn.
I can tell when I can hear you and when we can't hear you.
Yeah, rotate it so it's pointing. No, so the logo's pointing towards you.
Oh.
There we go.
Do it.
Last game, we've all tipped Dogs at home against the Newcastle Knights. I mean, I could see the Knights winning this one, but I don't know. Dogs going good, and they're at home. So remember to lock your doors Sunday night, because the Dogs are in town.
I should check the stats. I'm curious to see how the teams with the bye have gone the following week. So the Gold Coast lost in round 2. Who had the bye? Melbourne had the bye in round 3. They beat Penrith. And St George had the bye in round 3. They beat Melbourne. So the Knights are coming off the bye. That does help them. But there's something about the Dogs team there. They're just very confident.
Dogs are
Doesn't matter who's playing. They're playing really good footy.
I hate it.
I have to go them, but obviously the Knights are totally Ponga dependent. If Ponga plays well, they're in with a shot.
Yeah, it should be a good game.
They control Ponga. The Bulldogs, they win the game.
Is it a Sunday night or Sunday night game?
Yeah, so so this is the last week of the late Sunday game because daylight savings ends on Sunday morning. So
this Sunday, does it?
Yeah, we go back to the 2 and the 4 o'clock games next week. So
wait, is daylight savings this weekend or next weekend?
This weekend.
Oh, is it? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so next week we're back to the 2 o'clock and the 4 o'clock.
Cool. Right, going to other grades. New South Wales Cup, they went down before first grade at Campbelltown. They lost 34-20. They were, I think, in the lead early in the game. As you were there before, I didn't get there in time to see it, but yeah, the Warriors just put a few tries back to back and kind of ran away with that one. There in the Harold Mats, the Balmain Tigers went down 18-10 to the Knights. The Magpies had the bye. The Magpies this week will be playing in Kenthurst at Hills Grammar School against the Bears. And the Tigers are playing against the Steelers at Leichhardt at 10:30 in SG Ball. The Magpies got a win 28-24. Balmain Tigers got done 38-10. The Magpies in SG Ball are playing at Raiders Belconnen in Canberra, and Balmain the two Balmain junior teams are playing back to back, and I think the girls are playing there as well. No, the girls are in Shark Stadium. I tell a lie. Lisa Fiaola, 28-16 win for the girls last week. They're at 9:30 in the morning at Shark Stadium on Saturday, and then Tasha Gale girls are playing straight after. They won 28-0 against the Bears, so the girls got a couple of good wins last week. Good on you girls. Laurie Daly Cup, the MacArthur West Tigers went down in the grand final, unfortunately.
Semi-final.
It's a semi, is it?
No.
It's grand final.
No, grand final. Sorry, yeah, grand final.
Yeah. Lachlan Galvin's brother played. Paddy Richards' son played. I believe Paddy Richards' son scored a try and kicked 2 goals, but it wasn't enough to beat to the South Coast Dragons, I think, in that one. But unlucky to the Tigers boys, but it'd be interesting to see Galvin's giant of a brother if he ends up in the Tigers system.
Just before we move on as well, Josh, important to point out, I think, for our junior reps, it's the final round of the season coming up this weekend.
For Viola?
No,
all 4, I think.
Like Matt.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Matt. So,
all right, tell us the scenarios.
So I don't know if they are all top 8. I'm basically going, so...
I think it's top 6. Someone told us in the comments last week and I've forgotten. I think it's top 6.
Yeah, well...
I actually think you've said it's top 6 before.
I have.
I don't think
it was
8.
last year. I don't know if they've changed it this year. I don't see any media releases about changing it, but so I'm going by... So leagueunlimited.com, they produce a magazine every week called The Front Row. On their ladders here, they've got all the top 8 highlighted for all 4 of these grades. So that's just what I'm going by. That's my understanding there. So in the SG Ball, our team, so we've got Balmain are currently in 8th on 10 points. 9th is Canterbury on 9. Western Suburbs are in 10th on 8. So both potentially a chance there. Balmain have a -4 and against. So if Balmain were to lose, Canterbury were to lose, Western Suburbs were to win, and Newcastle were to lose, because Newcastle and Western Suburbs have the same points and same for and against, that there would be a chance there for Western Suburbs to move up or as well. So then we move on to Harold Mats. So Harold Mats, Western Suburbs are 12th on 6, 4 points out of the 8, and Balmain are 15th, 6 points behind. So they're both out, unfortunately. As for our girls, so the Tasha Gale girls, they are in 3rd with 12 points.
Go girls.
Yep, that's amazing work there. And the Lisa Fiaola girls are also in 4th.
Cool.
So
semis next
they're
week.
guaranteed because actually I think both. No, so there would be a very minimal chance for the Tigers, Tasha Gale girls to miss out if it is a top 8. There is no chance for the Lisa Fiaola girls to miss out because 8th is 4 points behind the Tigers. So no matter what happens, we couldn't finish any lower than 7th.
Thanks for that, Az. Comment here, ST, hi from Poland. Go the Tigers.
Yeah, there was a comment from, it might have been in YouTube. I wonder if it's the same gentleman that said he listened to the Adele and podcast I did on Sunday night with him, and he said he's from Poland and he really enjoyed that pod.
There you go.
So
there you go. ST, welcome.
We've got listeners around the world.
Yeah. First I've heard, Poland. We got Riff over in Miami. Mr. Rogers over there in London. So let us know where you're listening from. It's it's always nice to have listeners, no matter where you are, and even if you don't go for the Tigers, as well. It's always surprised to hear of other team fans chiming in as well. Righto. Patreon.com/WestsLife. We're going to do this week. We're at an hour 40. What we're going to do with the Patreon questions this week, we're going to do them off air. So we're going to end the show now and make a little bonus episode for our Patreon guys. And welcome to, we got a few extra Patreons this week. So welcome to Jonathan, Raymond, Dean, Hannah, Hilly, Oliver, and Amy, who joined us this week on the Patreon. So we're going to record your questions because the guys leave us quite a lot this week. So we normally do this on the show. We're going to turn this into a little bonus episode that'll be available for those guys only. So if you want to join the show, patreon.com/WestsLife, and you get an extra bonus episode. So we're going from one episode Sunday night, Wednesday night here, and then it will be on camera Saturday night, and you can get a fourth episode if you go on patreon.com.
Do you remember Romper Room?
Yes.
You just sounded
Miss
like
Kim.
Miss Patricia there. Like
I was Miss
Jonathan
Kim for
and
me. It
Robert.
was Miss Kim for me. I grew up.
Oh, was it Miss Kim?
I
was it?
grew up
Okay.
up north. Yeah.
I can see you, and I can see you.
Yeah. I used to always wait for my name to come.
She never said Robert. Like it really actually scarred me for life. She never said Robert. I'd wait every week for her to say my name.
I wonder if she was a Tigers fan, because obviously her
It wasn't
husband
like I had a weird name. It's just a simple name, Rob. Anyway.
Her husband, of course, was Mr. Bailey.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
The late Mr. Bailey, who was
The
West
weatherman.
Tigers. Yeah. Board member.
Chairman.
Yeah. That was his wife.
Oh, okay. There
Yeah.
you go.
But yeah, up on the Central Coast, I used to say goodnight to Big Dog, and you guys didn't understand that reference. Yeah, up in MBN up north, we had Miss Kim.
Okay.
She was the Romper Room equivalent up there, which is quite funny that now we watch things from all over the world, and the Central Coast in Sydney, we watch completely different things. Well, we had Prime Possum. You wouldn't know who that is. Anyway, if you want more banter bullshit like that, join us on the Patreon episode that we're about to record. Thank you to our Benji tier legends as well. Will, Shane, Robert, a.k.a. Riff over there, Rob, Aaron, Chris, and, of course, Gussie Harris. They're all the top tier Benjis. I thought I'd give them an extra shout this week because they're top tier members on there as well.
I do like how there is a Patreon subscriber who's a combination of both mine and Rob's first names. Rob Aaron.
Haven't heard from Rob Aaron for a while.
Where are you, Rob? We haven't heard him.
I'm not on Twitter anymore, so I can't find him. I hope he's all right.
He
lives up Coffs Harbour way.
His bank account works. I know that. He's paying his fees for the Patreon, so good on you, Rob.
Rob.
He's literally one of the first Patreons that we've had. So
he had a good podcast going too. I don't know what
yeah,
happened to
I
him.
was on that talking basketball with him.
I think he might have been the third or fourth Patreon behind me and
yeah, he was one of the OGs.
Yeah.
And shouts Fred as well. Righto, guys, we're gonna chat to our lovely Patreons, but for now, for everyone else, come join us Saturday night at the Orange Grove Hotel. It's gonna be wild. We've already seen a few people commented on our socials, and they're saying they're gonna come Saturday night. So let's pack the place. Come get a nice cold beer, have a burger, and rock the joint. Hopefully, the West Tigers
maybe bring your earplugs. It might get a little loud, little rowdy.
There will be naughty words said probably, but we'll try not to. All righto. We'll see.
It's a lot harder in the moment.
As always, go the West Tigers.
Go the Tigers.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the West Tigers Life podcast. You can join us every Wednesday night live at 8:30 p.m. from the Orange Grove Hotel. A big thank you to Orange Grove Hotel for their support, as well as iChoice Home Loans. If you want to hear more from the West Tigers Life podcast, go to westtigers.com.au. That'll be our link tree, and you'll find links to all our social media, and you can sign up at our Patreon at patreon.com/westlife. Join us next time on West Tigers Life.